Hey, welcome to the Outdoor Adventure Hour. I'm your host this week. I'm Rob Lupo from Lupo Outdoors, and my co-host is out this week. So when I was out, he gave me a lot of crud and made fun of me, and I'm not going to do that. Oh yeah, I am absolutely. He's not here because he didn't love anybody. He'd be here if he loved you. No, I'm kidding. Hey, this week is going to be very interesting. We're actually going to talk about ordering suppressors online, the pros, the cons, and so forth. So, um, if you happen to be in a state that allows you to purchase suppressors, we're also going to talk about the pros and cons of suppressors. There's multiple different ways. You can go down to like your gun store, your FFL, and you can purchase a suppressor there. And you have to fill out the paperwork. There's a $200 tax stamp everywhere. And then once you fill out the paperwork and fill out the tax stamp, you got to do your fingerprints. There's got to be a photograph, and it all gets submitted to the government. Now, what's interesting about that is, so if you buy it from like often gun ranges, gun stores, or online, what are the pros and cons here? So the local gun club that I belong to, if you buy a suppressor from them and you fill out the paperwork, while your suppressor is in jail, which means it can't leave the premises, they do allow you to check it out, use it on the range there, and then return it when you're done. So while you're in that limbo waiting period, as they say, you get to use your suppressor, on your firearm, which is kind of cool. The drawbacks of that, it's like a window in a lingerie shop. It's just a lot of teasing. You don't get to take it home with you, and you can't use it at other ranges. So there is a drawback there. Also, you have to pay all of it up front right now. And that could be a problem as well. So the question here is, do you buy it at your local gun shop or do you buy online? Now, I did a lot of research for online purchases. And some of them were like, you pay all of it up front. And then, include your tax stamp. You have to send in your photos, your fingerprints, everything, right? And then once you clear a background check, some of these places will send it to your local FFL, and then you have to pay and do another background check there and pay the FFL their holding fee, right? I went with a specific company when I purchased mine. I went with Silencer Central, and let me explain why. And then after we talk about purchasing online, I'm going to tell you why you really should get a suppressor. A lot of people have this imaginary view that, they're going to put it on the rifle and the rifle is going to go pew, 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 pew. No, that doesn't happen. That's not how that works. What the suppressor does, hi, Vanessa Kitty, one of my favorite people who come and joins us. Vanessa Kitty is awesome. One of the reasons why I particularly think everyone should get a suppressor is protect your hearing. But let me explain to you why I went with Silencer Central. Let me bring them up here. One second here. So when I went with Silencer Central, this is what I ended up buying, which is the Banish 30 Gold package. It's a quick disconnect suppressor. It doesn't weigh a ton. It's modular, so you can actually take off part of it. and you had a choice. It also comes with 2 muzzle brakes, 2 different threading patterns. So you can put it on 2 different rifles, quick connect. Now, when you look at the Banished Silver Gold, it's $16.99 for the whole package. It's a great suppressor. I did a lot of research on it. Or you can pay $424.75 each month for 6 months, and your $200 tax step on top of that. So what was kind of cool about that is, if you're on a budget, like a lot of us are, you don't have to come up with the full price of the suppressor in one shot, right? It's going to take longer than 6 months normally before you get approved for your suppressor. Now, let's see, how many decibels does the suppressor actually lower the various calibers? That's a really good question, Vanessa Kitty. So if we come over here and we look at this suppressor here, let's go and look at information. Features, specs. So there's your length, weight. It's made out of titanium, the 2 different thread pitches. It's designed for 30 caliber and will go all the way down to 0.17. And this one has a 36 decibel sound reduction. So for 22 and 0.17, it's going to be a whisper. This will work on my 300 Win Mag. So it'll go 300 Win Mag all the way down to 0.17, which is absolutely fantastic. Hey, Turtle, how you doing? Grab your turtles here. So for those of you who missed the very beginning, the Rogue Banshee isn't here this week because he doesn't love anybody but himself, and he's just being selfish, and he would be here. No, I'm kidding. He has something important to do, so it's all me this week. So when we look at a suppressor, it's very, very useful for hunters. So my hearing protection, when I'm out in the wilderness, is I use ESP ears, and the ESP ears go inside my canals, and they're amplified. Now, what's awesome about the amplification on those is that I can hear a twig snap far away. So that's awesome. But when you're shooting a suppressor on your hunting rifles, it brings it down to a level where it doesn't harm your hearing. So if I'm out there with my 300 Win Mag and I don't want to wear anything on my ears or in my ears, maybe it's cold, maybe the battery's dead or whatever, I can safely fire my rifle without the risk of hearing damage. And that goes a long way, a long way. So there's a lot of different reasons for having a suppressor. The problem with suppressors is everybody has that concept that, oh, well, they're going to be used for gangland stuff, and they're going to be used for, hurting people and so forth. And I, listening to the news in all the years, I've been alive, and it's been over 50 years now. I never once heard of a suppressor being used in a crime or a mugging or a murder. I could be completely wrong, but it's never been brought to the attention of the news ever that I've ever witnessed. If you've seen something like that, please let me know. But it's a rarity because it really adds length to your weapon. So on a pistol, if your pistol's this big, it's going to add some significance to that. So concealing the weapon's much harder that way. But realistically, the majority of people want a suppressor to protect their hearing. Hey, Krabby Turtle. Yeah, yes, Hollywood has nothing to do with real life, and as a kid, like she said. Vanessa, it's always a pleasure having you on. We absolutely think the world of you, and you too, Krabby Turtle. You're one of your people here all the time. If you're visiting for the first time, or if you're here, please speak up inside. Let us know what you think about suppressors. But let me talk about the waiting period. So the suppressor that I purchased, which was the Banish 30 Gold, with the paperwork was submitted back in mid-March, and it just got approved last week. Not a horrible wait. Yeah, a shoulder holster might be able to get away with it. But here's what's interesting. I'm also a big fan of the PCP air rifles. Love my PCP air rifle. They're beautiful. They're gorgeous. We'll talk about them sometime on another show. But this is a metal PCP air rifle suppressor. I would never, ever use this on a real firearm. I couldn't even imagine the possible damage. Also, the input for them is bigger than any threading that you have on any rifle or pistol. That's a metal one. This is a metal core with a 3D printed outside. These are all legal to purchase online. They are designed for air rifles only. Trying to shoot something like any type of firearm through those, you're asking for shrapnel and massive amounts of damage to you and anybody around you. It's just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But it's interesting because air rifles and airsoft guns, and these would work on some airsoft guns as well, aren't considered firearms. They're legal to shoot in most places. They are legal to shoot inside the city limits. They are not firearms. They're pellet rifles. The one I got these for is a B-Man, and it's a PCP rifle, and it shoots 22 caliber pellets. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. And these worked really, really well. When these are on that rifle, the loudest thing you hear is the impact of the pellet. And that's it. It goes, it's nice. So purchasing, let's talk about why I purchased through the Silencer Central. They literally walk you through every step of the way. They send you your fingerprints, a card situation, and they actually send you 2 cards in case you screw up on one card, and a return envelope. So that shows up in your mail. You go through and you do your whole fingerprint process and with the ink pad that they sent you, and then you mail it back. And then every step of the way, they tell you where you are on the process. So when I look at the process that I'm in currently, let's see if I can get there. Hold on, let me log in. Oh my goodness, this is just ridiculous. Hello. I have to use my fingerprint reader. Let's log in. I'll show you where the process schedule is on this. But one of the things I absolutely loved about this is that I didn't have to really do anything. And when it's done, they send it directly to your front door. So let me show you the screen. There we go, share. So at the very beginning, you're doing the essential data, personal information received. They send you the fingerprints. When they get the fingerprints back and analyze them, make sure that they're viable. They green check mark that. You have to go on and get passport photos. You send those in, and if those are acceptable, you get a green check. When you purchase your silencer, they assign a serial number. So the one that you will receive, that serial number is being sent off with your paperwork. So you have all this paperwork, and you get all these green checks. These are all done, by the way. certification appointment complete. That's where we go through the paperwork and make sure that we're doing it right. Application submitted to the ATF, and that was back in March. Recently, just got my approval. So right now, we're doing the final paperwork. And what happens is they send the information to the local sheriff in my local area, let them know that I'll be receiving a suppressor. Once that part's done, I have to do a final signature. My order is sent to the local office here in Florida, and then they ship it directly to me from there. So all that is really, really simplistic. Now, other locations that you order, you're on your own. I mean, it's like I know some places where you can buy the silencers and you have to do all the paperwork with no help. You have to go get your fingerprints done on your own. You have to do your photos. You bring it in and they mail it off. And then when it comes in, you go through your other background check, and it's a hassle. And then other online locations don't even, some assist you, some don't. These guys, I mean, I did like a video phone call with them, and we went through the steps, making sure I had everything I needed before it was sent off to the FTL. Not FTL, I'm sorry, ATF. So it's a lot involved with it. Now, I still have this waiting period because just because it's approved doesn't mean it shows up on my front door. So it's still going to take about a month for me to get this. But the other reason why I went with the one I went with, the Banished Gold, was because it is okay to use. Actually, it's certified for a multitude of different calibers. Now, I have multiple caliber firearms. So I wanted to be able to use it on my 300 Win Mig, my 308, my 30-06, my 6.5 Creedmoor, my 6.5 PRC, and my 22 long rifle, my 22 mag, and my .17 HMR. And this suppressor will work on every single one of those firearms. And that's pretty cool. So let me know what people think here. So Vanessa Kitty sitting here said, be careful. You must check local laws on how they consider air guns as firearms or not. Also, my town and many others, you cannot carry an air gun. That's true. You can't carry an air gun out in the open public. Well, you can, but you will get stopped and chastised for the fact that it is an air gun. In most locations, air guns are not considered firearms, but it is up to you to check your local laws and your city ordinance. Now, if I want to shoot my air rifle in my backyard, I can here where I am in Florida. But in some locations, I'm sure like in California, New York, or Chicago, and other places like that, they probably have an ordinance against it. So yeah, I'm not saying it's everywhere. Where I'm at, I can. The reason why I got suppressed for my PCP rifle is it does make a popping sound when you fire them. Mine has a built-in compressed air tank that I fill up with a compressor, which is right over here that you can't see. Oh yeah, you can. This right here, that is the compressor for my PCP air rifle. And she says in Connecticut, they're considered dangerous destructive devices where no carry is allowed. Doesn't surprise me. A lot of places, the air rifles are used for varmint control. They use them for, like in Southern Florida, they use them to get rid of iguanas. And they also, in a lot of places, they use them for like pigeon control and muskrat control and rat control and mice control and control. So you got to figure out what your local laws are. I was just kind of using these as an examples. And people are like, well, why can't I use them on a firearm? Because they're not designed for those pressures at all. Not even close. These are designed to help bring down the initial popping sound of an air gun. Putting these on a firearm would be pretty much disastrous to you and everything else. The other thing you have to understand about air rifles, and see if it's near me. Of course, it's not. It's going to be completely across the room. I have a 30 caliber carbon fiber rod. Right? Yes, heat and pressure will blow these plastic ones away. Even though this is metal, this is not metal that's going to take. This is aluminum with a carbon fiber wrap on it. The one I ordered is titanium. Big bloody difference. I wouldn't trust this with 22 long rifle caliber, but for an air rifle, it's safe. So the rod I have, it's a carbon fiber rod, and it's designed to go down the barrel. Mine's 30 caliber because the primary rifles I'm going to be using with this, and it fits down the barrel. And then when you attach the suppressor, you should see equal amounts of space around the core. When you look down the suppressor, right? Make sure, of course, that the chamber is open and the bolt's out on the other end. But when you're looking at it, that's going to show you if the alignment of the suppressor is good. Because if it's canted or if it's touching, when a bullet comes out, it could not only rip the suppressor off of your rifle, but it could fragment it. And when you spend that much money and wait that long, the last thing you want is it to self-destruct. See, my town's fingerprint electronic readers don't read my fingers. So in some locations for fingerprints, when I was out in Texas, they have machines, and you go up to the machine and you can order whatever you want when they're going to do the background check. And then it takes your fingerprints on the machine and puts you in line for a background check. This also is what they were using in Oregon when I was out in Oregon visiting my buddy Mike out there. And it's every state has its own laws. So, I mean, like when we talk about like concealed carry and so forth, you really got to understand whether or not you're allowed to, if you got a permit in one state, it may not be okay in another state, or it might be okay with specific restrictions. And you need to be aware of all that, or you're not going to be happy with the overall outcome. So it's all variant. Now, when I was looking at my first thoughts about getting a suppressor, like I said, I went to some local shops. And there's some really cool ones out there. Like it's a replacement barrel for your 1022, either take apart or standard. And the suppressor is built into the barrel. So when you have to buy and go through the background check to purchase the barrel. And then when you get it, it's a built-in suppressor for the 22 long rifle. And I thought that was bloody cool. And all you do once you get it, your tax stamp for that and you get approved, you just replace the barrel. You don't attach anything to the end. It's all built in suppressed. But the different suppressors, like I have my Glock 19 is I have a Glock 19 and a Glock 17 that are threaded. And when you start talking about suppressors there, the suppressors are long because I was told by many people that if I was going to put it on my 9mm Glocks, get the 45 caliber suppressor for pistols, and that way I could use it on my 1911, and I could use it all the way down through the different pistol calibers down, to 22 if I wanted to, and that makes sense. So, Vanessa Kitty, have you ever shot a suppressor? And I'll wait for her to answer. And that also goes for Krabby Turtle. If you've ever shot a suppressor, or if you're looking to get one, let me know what your thoughts are as well. Now, and if you're watching and you haven't talked in the chat, please speak up. or send us messages later on. Purchasing a suppressor is a big deal. Unfortunately, not yet, Krabby Turtle says. There's so much involved with it. But when you go to things like Silencer Central, they mail them directly to your door. Once you do the final paperwork, it gets mailed right to you. So you don't have to go to an FFL, and you don't have to go through a hassle. And almost every FFL will charge you anywhere from $25 to $75, whether or not you're getting a firearm or a suppressor sent to them. They're just gonna grab some cash out of your pocket there, which is ridiculous. I belong to a gun club here, and they charge me $25 until you're a member. Then once you're a member, all transfers are free. So I've almost made back how much I've spent on my membership in transfers alone. I have everything sent there, and I just go in, do my background check, and off I go. Because I also have my concealed carry. So I got to shoot different suppressors for the first time. I don't even have mine yet, and I've been approved. But several of the suppressors that I've shot, they're kind of interesting. Like I've shot 22 suppressors. When I was out in Oregon, I just did a video called "My Quest to 1,000 Yards," which I did when I purchased a 6.5 PRC rifle, and it was getting long range rifle classes for my buddy Mike out there. And so I shot different things. So I've shot 22 suppressed, and it's crazy because you still have the action where you're going to still get some, your little recoil, but it reduces the recoil drastically. And what are the 22 long rifle that suppressed, hardly hear anything. A lot of poop, pop, pop sounds. But when you start going up into like 9mm, 45 caliber, and then you start going into larger rounds like 308, 300 Win mag, and so forth, 6.5 Creedmoor, you still get your loud bang out of it, but it's dropped down significantly enough where you're going to hear it, but it's not going to hurt your ears, or it's going to be the below the level of potential ear damage. So that's an important aspect of it. But let's go talk about Silencer Central again. If you've purchased online different locations, tell me where you've gotten them from. I want to hear that. And tell me what your story was so far. What I have discovered talking with the people at Silencer Central, every time I had a question, I had an answer within minutes. Easy to get them on the phone for the most part. Sometimes you have to wait. But overall, it's been a really, really good process. Bad at all. The reason why suppressors work is they modify the gases being expelled from your firearm. And in the process, it dissipates it instead of as a rapid source. It dissipates the gas over a multitude of different chambers, and thus bringing it down. Now, if you use subsonic ammo, then it's even quieter, because remember, most ammunition, when it leaves the bore, it's going to break the sound barrier, and that's a loud popping sound as it is. Vanessa Kitty, have you ever shot a suppressed firearm? Vanessa Kitty and Krabby Turtle are two of our favorite people. They're here all the time. I'm actually kind of surprised that Mike's not on yet, but he usually jumps on later on. If you are brand new here, introduce yourselves, say hi to the chat. We'd love to hear from you. Now, when we start talking about, unfortunately not. All right. So subsonic ammo is not necessary to use. This is true, but it does help in lowering the overall sound. When you're hunting, suppressors are so useful. I watched a video on YouTube of a guy putting a suppressor on a suppressor on his 308, and he's out in the country, and there's a chicken about 10, 15 feet from him. He goes, all right, now watch the chicken. And he shoots a target with the suppressor on. Chicken doesn't even flinch. So when you're shooting at game, this is also where it will help you out a lot. I always recommend that you wear some sort of hearing protection with or without the suppressor. But if for some reason it gets knocked off your head, it pops out of your ear, and you're shooting suppressed, you're probably not going to hurt your ears. Let's see here. I'll show you. Right. Yeah, so subsonic ammo is not necessarily to use. You're spot on. The ammo I have in my 300 Win Mag, not subsonic at all. It's a fast moving piece around there. But with a suppressor on, it's going to be useful. And the other thing that people don't know is once you put a suppressor on, it also reduces recoil. A lot of people are like, I have muzzle brakes and I want to reduce my recoil. That's right. You should, because that's what you're going to do. I just smacked the mic with my hand. Sure that didn't go over well. But the suppressor itself helps reduce the recoil. Now, on my 300 Win Mag, I have an Ultradyne LR 300 on there, which has fantastic results for reducing recoil. But when I put the suppressor on, I'm actually going to measure what reduces recoil better, my suppressor or my Ultradyne muzzle brake. Now, if you haven't checked out Ultradyne, man, their muzzle brakes are amazing. I mean, their LR, which is their long range, and their max, massive reduction in recoil, especially on my 300 Win Mag. It made it go from like a big kick and muzzle rise to less than my 308. And that's impressive. Now, if I could just figure out how to make the ammo cheaper than the 308, that would be great. I'm just saying. So lots of involvement here. I wish my buddy was here. So what are the pros and cons about purchasing a suppressor? So you have to buy a tax stamp, and you have to put your fingerprints out there, and you have to get in there. Oh, this is a great question from Krabby Turtle. Are there any limits on the number of tax stamps you can apply for? Not as far as I can tell. I know of a guy at my local gun club who just bought 6 different suppressors for all of his different weapons, and each required a separate background check and tax stamp. So he paid $1,200 in tax stamps alone. I don't think there is, but every time it puts your name out there. And I was told the reason why it takes forever is because there's only a handful of guys that are checking all these and running the background checks. Are they legal in Texas? Ricardo, hey, welcome to the group here. You would have to check your local laws. As far as I know, suppressors are legal in Texas, but I'm not in Texas, so I can't give you a definitive. What you can do is go on like Silencer Central, and you can check and see the legality of your state. Some states, there's no chance. Now, that's an interesting thing. So as long as they were made in Texas. So this is a big subject matter that is currently going through the loops, because Texas is trying to pass a law saying, look, If it's made in Texas and it stays in Texas, then we don't need a tax stamp, and we don't need federal registration or registration of this. This is a Texas only product. Can't leave the state. And I really don't have a problem with that. I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't know where that law is currently. If you're listening, or maybe Ricardo, if you know, please let us know. Did that law pass? I know that it was in the works, but I don't know if it actually passed yet or not. And let's go back to the problem with suppressors. I have wonderful friends who I love dearly who would love to have a suppressor because they are so useful, if anything, for your hearing protection over anything else. Reduction in recoil and hearing protection. But they don't want to be on that list. I mean, your name, your address, your phone number, your fingerprints, all your legal information is now out there with the government. So I know people who have lots of suppressors. They have some that they just keep on that specific rifle, even though it can move from one to the other. And they have, no problems. I know people who are like, I don't want them to know what I have. That's none of their business. So it's really kind of dependent on what your views are on this. Ricardo, what's your opinion on that? Since you were popping up about Texas, I don't know where you're from, but what's your view? Do you think the idea if it's made in Texas and it stays in Texas, it's no one else's business? Do you mind being on the list? To any of you guys, anyone's listening, what's your views? Do you want to be on the list or do you not want to be on the list? Do you feel that being on a list because you have it isn't okay? Or do you think it's worth it? Yeah, so Ricardo was saying here, that was Krabby Turtle. Sorry. He goes, yeah, I want one, but I don't want to wait months. Oh my gosh. So some people are saying it's over a year, but we did electronically. So Silencer Central does them all electronically. So they're electronically submitted, which is faster than mailing it in. And there is months. So we go March, April, May, June, July, August, September, mid-October. It was 7 months and I got my approval. But I'm going to be another month before the follow-up paperwork's done. And it shows up at my door. Krabby Turtle. He says, Liz, don't frighten me. I'm in a gun-hating state. They have all my vitals. Oh, my goodness. I understand that. I moved here to Florida from California. I didn't really move as much as I planned an escape route and got out of California as soon as I could. I was born and raised there. And that state has changed drastically from what it was when I was a kid. It's gotten more and more unsafe. And it's just not, it's not where I want to be anymore, which saddens me because California is one of the most beautiful states I've ever been in my life. And I've been in all 50 states, and I've been in all through Canada from Vancouver all the way across to New Brunswick. So having been to all 50 states and completely across Canada, California still ranks as one of the most beautiful states I've ever been in. It's absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, we won't go into the politics. Let's see here, Ricardo. Greg Abbott passed it a while back. That's awesome. That's really awesome. I'm glad that happened. Texas has, got their crud together. but it's regulated by the government. That's always a problem. My sister lives out there in the Houston area of Texas, and when I moved out of California, I had two choices. I wanted to either go to Texas or I wanted to go to Florida. And that's having been in all 50 states. Those are the two states I chose as where I felt the least amount of my freedoms were being compromised was the biggest part. And yeah, kind of feel lucky that I came here to Florida compared to Texas because I love Texas. Absolutely love Texas. It's a beautiful state. But everything's a freaking toll road out there. So it's like I just drove the Bass Pro Shops and I spent $20 at Bass Pro Shops, but it cost me $35 in tolls to get there, So I always found that to be amusing. It's just like everything's a toll road. So just a tip, if you're going out to visit Texas and you rent a car and they say, do you want the toll package? Say yes. Get the toll package. It's a lot cheaper than what you'll spend on tolls. But what are some of the other people's ideas and what are some of the myths you've heard about silencers? We've talked a little bit about, it makes everything whisper quiet. Pew, pew. Totally not true. Even with a 22, you can still hear it. Even with my airsoft rifle or my PCP rifle, when I fire with a suppressor on, which I stated earlier is completely illegal because here it's not considered a firearm. You can still hear it, but it greatly reduces the sound. And I wanted that mostly so not to disturb my neighbors. I don't want them going like, what the heck is he doing out there? And if I set up a target in my backyard and I want to shoot at it, I should shoot at it with my PCP rifle and not have a problem. But every time you make noise, it becomes a problem. So tell me, those in our chat, what are some of the myths that you heard? One myth I've heard, which is just ridiculous, is that it'll convert your semi-auto into a fully automatic rifle. Yeah. Someone told me that once. And I'm like, how? Well, it's got a mechanism in it, and if you put it on the rifle, then it'll make it a fully automatic rifle, a machine gun. I'm like, it goes on the tip of the barrel. It's where the bullet leaves the barrel. How's it converting the rest of the mechanism to fully? Oh, I don't know, but that's exactly what it does. And I'm like, okie dokie. There's a lot of myths out there. Realistically, I don't think that suppressors should require a tax stamp. They are, in my opinion, a safety piece of equipment. It's a piece of equipment that helps with safety by reducing the chance of ear damage, right? Hearing loss. If you're an old-time shooter, if you go to the range on a regular basis, even with protection, any modification of that protection, things change. Every time a sound gets in there and it fucks with your hearing, you're doing damage. I know people who go out there and they'll shoot without any hearing protection until their ears are ringing for 2 days. And a suppressor is going to help. All right. Let me show you what Vanessa Kitty. Decibels is measured on a logarithmic scale, so it has exponential growth and in perceived. She corrected it at the end there. I agree. And also, depending on how it is capturing the gases in the chambers and releasing the gases, like we said, suppressors also act as muzzle brakes, reducing recoil. Like if you have a 6.5 Creedmoor, I know there's haters out there. I love my 6.5 Creedmoor. Fantastic round. I can shoot 1,000 yards with it easy, and has less kick than a 308 out of the box. But you put a suppressor on it, and it's like almost no recoil at all. So Vanessa Kitty was saying her right ear hearing is close to be gone. So Vanessa Kitty is also ex-military. And, you know, it's what I hear about everyone. Rogue Banshee has hearing damage from his firearm use. I've had to buy, let me see, hold on here. We have Krabby Turtle. I've had to bite my tongue many at times during dinners. Some people think that any black rifle, full auto assault, no ammo limit killing machines. Yeah. Now, interesting, we have Mr. Perez here. It is from my experience shooting a 6.5 Creedmoor with my suppressor. It has more recoil. Wow, I am absolutely going to test that theory. Like I have an Ultradyne LR 300 on my 6.5 Creedmoor right now, and that greatly reduces my recoil and my muzzle jump. So I'm curious to see how putting a suppressor on, whether it increases the recoil or decreases. But great information there, Mr. Perez. I appreciate that. And now you've given me something to review. Most people say that a suppressor actually reduces their recoil on their rifles. And Vanessa says her hearing loss was all done very early on in her life. And, you know, Vanessa Kitty is tough as nails. My goodness. I mean, she hunts. She does everything. You know, she'll rough it. I have so much respect for that woman. She's amazing. She's promised to come out here to Florida and go on a pig hunt with me. So if that happens, believe me, I will be filming that and putting it on my channel. I know the Rogue Banshee isn't here, and I apologize for those who got in late. Greatly matters in the felt recoil. You're absolutely correct there. The design of the suppressor most likely greatly matters in the felt recoil. That was another reason why I went with Banished Gold. The tests have shown that it greatly reduced the recoil and sound levels of the rifle. And the fact that I can go from 300 Win Mag with the Banished Gold down to 0.17 micro calibers there meant I can use it for everything. But you're 100% right. Ms. Perez, what type of suppressor did you get? Because I would like to do some research on that. Krabby Turtle. So all suppressors are not created equal. That is, yes. Yes, when we go to the range next Saturday. Yeah, so Mr. Perez there is actually a really good friend of mine. And we go to the range together out here in Florida. Lou is just a spectacular human being. And so I haven't shot his suppressor yet. So when we go to the range next week, we will check that out. We both built our 6.5 Creedmoors together. So we bought the barrel in action and the chassis and the stock, and then, you know, the weights and the supplements and everything else. And we constructed our rifles together. And then we've been going out there and checking them out and just having the best time doing it. I will be putting that up on my channel on what I did to build a long range shooting rifle. And the only thing that required a background check was the barrel action combination. We went with a Hawa 1500 SA from brand now. They were like $429 approximately. Excuse me. But what was cool is Brownell has coupons all the time. So I got the price down on my barrel in action down to like 370, 375 instead of 429. And those, because it's actually a gun, it has to be sent to an FFL, and then you go there and you do your background check, and then you can take it home. So Lou and I will be talking about this next week on the podcast of how I felt, because we both have basically the same gun, and I'm going to test it with my muzzle brake and with his suppressor and see how we both how the action works. Let's see, Ricardo. I shot it with out plugs once. That's all it took. Never again. With a suppressor or without, Ricardo. And then Vanessa Kitty. We need to talk outside the show and plan our pig hunt, because I think that would be really awesome to have you come out here. So the cleaning process for the Banished Series Gold, you can completely take it apart and remove all the baffles. So what I have is the Horny sonic cleaner. So I could put in the gun cleaning solution, and then I can clean all the parts through the sonic cleaner, or you can hand clean them. But it's not a hard process. If you go on Silence Central, they have videos on how they clean the baffles and how they clean the silencer, plus how often they do it. Before I can travel, divorce may be finished by January, maybe. All right. So once you figure out when you can travel, let me know, and we'll plan that pig hunt. And I'll bring my suppressor on my rifle too. It'd be cool. So Lou has a Bushwhacker 46 Griffin armament suppressor on a 6.5 Creedmoor. So when I get mine, we'll compare the two. People think so often. People think a suppressor is a suppressor. There's no differences. They're all going to do the same, and it's not the case. Go on Silence Central, and they'll actually show you a list of common suppressors out in the market and show you the decibel diminish from using the different suppressors out there. Some are really, really good about dropping the overall decibel limit, and some aren't. So you really, really need to do your research before you just go out and buy a suppressor and I'm just going to buy any suppressor. Research, understand A, how easy is it to clean? B, how effective is it on the rifle? C, what's the decimal diminish on depending on caliber? And how much muzzle reduction does it have, if any? And then make your choices from there. I went to Silencer Central. I chose the Banished 30 Gold, and that's what I decided after my research, plus the fact that Silencer Central delivers it right to my front door. These are all positive things here. See, Ricardo. So, try thermals at night on pigs. Oh God, yeah, night gear. So I have a night vision scope that I got from ADT. That's going to be on my my hunting rifle for pigs. And then, so Ricardo says that he shot without hearing protection, and it was without a suppressor. And yeah, I'll tell you, it's a mistake you don't often make more than once. When I was doing my shooting lessons out back west there with Mike, we're sitting there and I'm getting ready to shoot, and all of a sudden I hear Mike going, "Oh crap, I forgot my hearing protection." And then Luke goes, me too. And I'm like, oh crap, me too. And we were all ready to sit there. We were so focused on what was happening that we completely forgot to put our hearing protection. Fortunately, I didn't fire the rifle. But as soon as they said that, we all remembered, oh God, I don't have anything on either. And it's actually in the video where I'm like, holy crap, I didn't do this. So this is interesting from Vanessa Kitty. She was actually instrumental in a case against a dode out of Alaska that was complete in December of 1990. Had the defendants awarded $300+ million for discrimination in hiring civilian workers with hearing loss. Wow. So, yeah. Just to let you know, every hunter I know who hunters regularly all the time has some hearing loss, because we all have made, I mean, I'm not a massive hunter, but I am a range shooter. And there have been several times when I've been in competitions with my shotguns. You know, I'm sitting there shooting 12 gauge, you know, and that bullet's like right here. And I bring it up and I'm sitting there, you know, pull and pow, pow. And I'm like, crap. That's it. The damage is done right there. That damage is done. My hearing, I mean, the ringing will stop, hopefully, because sometimes it doesn't with some people. But I've already done some permanent damage because you forget. And that's where it goes back to where I'm saying suppressors are a safety device as well. You know, I mean, they shouldn't require a tax stamp. They should be available to put on all your weapons. But Hollywood's made them out to be these evil devices used by hitmen to hurt people. And that's not what they're used for. You know, most people use them at the range. So if you're the only one at the range, they don't have to have uncomfortable things in their ears or on their ears. But also when you're out hunting, it helps prevent damage, but also scaring away the game. It's Hollywood's fault that we have to wait 7-8 months and pay an extra $200 on top of the overall cost. Thanks, Hollywood. So we have about 3 minutes left. Yeah, let's see. All that noise exposure begins killing silica fiber cells in the ears that provide the hearing for your brain to figure it out. You're spot on, Vanessa Kitty. So, in a nutshell, I like to promote my partner Jason's site on YouTube, the Rogue Banshee. Once again, he apologized for not being able to be here. He had some pressing business he had to take care of. So this was a solo show by me. I am Rob Lupo from Lupo Outdoors. If you are not subscribed to either of our channels, please subscribe to both of our channels and help us grow. Jason, I have to pay him a congratulations. He just hit the 15,000 subscriber mark this last week or so. And we're all really proud of him. He's worked so hard on that channel. My channel is growing incredibly fast. My first video was, this is my second channel. If you don't know, my first channel is the Orlando Wizard, which is monetized and I make money off of that. And that's mostly theme parks. This one, Lupo Outdoors, I actually started this channel up in, I think, February and posted my first video, I think in March, or maybe no, actually, I think I posted my first video in February. And I just broke the 500 subscriber mark today. So we are growing very, very fast and we appreciate it. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. We have a lot of great videos coming up. Jason has just released this fantastic video where he's restored a rifle that was basically obliterated in a fire. And he goes through the whole process in a rapid camera where it went from destroyed to a finished product. I can't stop watching the video. I just sit there and you just stare at it and watching it all come. It's like watching a plant grow into a fern. It's amazing. Anyhow, check it out. Thank you guys so much for listening. I once again am Rob Lupo from Lupo Outdoors. And next week, because it's Jason's turn and I don't know what he wants to talk about, next week will be a mystery show. But we'll see you at the same time and same channel here, 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. Come and join the Outdoor Adventure Hour, and we'll see you next week.